G'day and welcome to the Hunting Connection podcast. My name is Zach Williams and I am your host. Here we'll connect you with hunters, fishers and outdoor enthusiasts from around the globe. This podcast will share hunting and fishing stories, including past experiences, and tackle the tough hunting stereotypes our community faces. We hope to be a positive influence to those outside the community while also having a laugh along the way. Hope you enjoy the podcast. G'day and welcome to another episode. On today's episode, we have Mitch from Wildfire. How you going?
Yeah, good mate, yourself?
Yeah, good, thank you. Good, thank you. We just had a quick chat beforehand, and got the gears greased and rolling. So
Ready to rock. Yeah, I've never done something like this before, so excuse anything I do, and we'll see how we go.
Nah, it's all good. Everyone afterwards, they're just like, "Oh man, that was much easier than I thought it was." So
Beautiful. Hopefully that works out.
Nah, it will, man. So, for people who don't know who you are, where you from, man?
Melbourne, Victoria, eastern suburbs, in a little place called Warrandyte, about half an hour from the CBD on the Yarra River.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's it. So, we're pretty lucky where we are. We're about half an hour from the city. We got probably on the edge of the sort of bush, I suppose. For the people that don't know, as you're sort of heading out to the places like Lilydale and heading towards like the high country, all that sort of stuff. We're probably not quite anywhere near that, but we're at the edge of suburbia, I suppose, and I'm pretty blessed to have plenty of the native wildlife around here and shitloads of deer. So we can go have a look anytime we want at copious amounts of sambar deer, kilometre, 1,500 metres from home, the state parks and things like that. A lot of locals probably don't see it like that, but there's a select few around here that genuinely enjoy it. So, it's a nice spot where we are. So
that's good. That's good. I can't stand Melbourne itself, but country Vic is awesome. You know, I almost lost my mind driving to Snake Island last year, having to cut through the city. Oh man. Yeah, I drive for a living, but driving around Adelaide's so much better than.
Yeah, that's it. I was in Adelaide at Christmas, and I think we went from the north to where the Adelaide Oval is, and I didn't stop at a set of traffic lights.
Yeah, well,
people still selling newspapers on the corner and stuff like that. It was good.
Yeah, well, from where you guys were, it's probably 45 minutes. You know, you go another 20 minutes, and you're right across the other side of Adelaide. Like it's completely tiny. Where driving through Melbourne is like 2 hours. 2 hours.
Yeah, Melbourne's like the traffic's shocking these days, and it's only getting worse. Like I work pretty close to home, so I don't have to deal with too many of the freeways, but. Oh, yeah, it's not good. When you're on the outer, it's all right.
Speaking of work, what do you do?
I'm a carpenter, so train chippy, and I'm sort of just eating my way into the site. Foreman sort of stuff these days. Just running jobs and all that sort of stuff. So not haven't gone too far from my roots, so to speak. And nice little domestic company I'm with. So
was that first or second fix?
Oh, yeah, you guys call it different. So first fix for us is so we got frame lock-up fix at ours. And judging from talking to a couple of relatives over your way, was it first fix is lock-up and then second fix is like hanging doors and architraves and stuff like that? Is that right? Or?
Yeah, I think so, and all the eaves and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we're doing start to finish work. So we're doing mainly renovations, extensions and stuff like that. So not the architectural side of things. So we demolish and then rebuild from where we need to go. So whether we take it back to a facade or whatnot, and we just pick up. Yeah, we just keep going. So
good fun. Well, I didn't know that Vic and SA had it different, so that's one more thing to add to the list with the pints and schooners.
Get them the pint later.
So how did you get into hunting and fishing in the outdoors?
Outdoors from when I was born, essentially. Like we grew up camping, we were riding motorbikes from a young age, cricket, footy, camping, fishing. That was just pretty much what our family did. I always, Dad had guns growing up. He only had like the Class A license, I think it was, so rim fires and shotguns.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of like bunny busting and just spotlighting when we were young. I always loved fishing, so that was my sort of jam. We'd go fishing at Christmas time when we went camping. I stayed in caravan parks, and anytime we get out in the bay, I'd love that. And then it wasn't until probably my mid-20s, like I just fished flat out from when I was like 18. My parents sort of got a place down Phillip Island with a boat, so snapper fishing, gummies, and then naturally a lot of people that fished over here get into hunting when they're a little bit older and get bored in the winter time. So yeah, got into that through a mate, and then I just absolutely loved it. I love the food side of things. I love providing for myself. I love the outdoors. I love adventure. So the more you can get out, the more it's better for me. Like I love challenging myself. So you put the pack on, and I don't know. Every time we shoot a deer, you find yourself in a valley. It's hosing down with rain, and you're gutting a deer. You always find yourself looking around at the blokes you're with, just pissing yourself laughing, I suppose, going, like, how many blokes do you know how to do this? And you sort of sit out and you just laugh at yourself. So it's I love that sort of stuff.
That's
the
it,
bigger
man.
Me, the better.
That's it. It's definitely a good laugh. Like I went out this morning with one of my good mates, Ilias, and he works like crazy schedule, and I work your 6 to 2:30 ish. So it was like making our schedules meet. He's south of the city, I'm north. So when we can finally get together and get a hunt together, it's like we're just chatting and laughing and giggling and carrying on. It's just like how good is this,
Yeah, that's it. Like, there's nothing else that compares to it. Like, we did a backpack trip the other week, and you find yourself, you're 2-3 hours from any kind of phone service or anything, and you're on a river, like, with one of your mates, like, catching trout, and you're just, like, looking around. You're like, this is just us. Like, ain't no one know what we're doing here. Like, it's just a whole new ball game. Like, that's the sort of stuff you love, and, like, it's only you guys that are in the moment, and you take it back, and that's, they're the sort of ones. Like, you come back with a whole bunch of photos and stuff. You try to explain it to people, and they got no idea. Like,
no, that's it.
It's a whole new ball game.
Unless someone hunts or fishes and they understand that, then they get it. You know, but just the shit talk and the uncontrollable laughing when you're trying to stalk through the bush and shit like that.
Find yourself when you're sitting under a tree. It's just hosing down with rain for 3 or 4 hours, and any other time you'd be absolutely miserable. But you just find yourself like giggling away, just like, what the fuck?
So you mentioned backpack hunting. Is that the main type of hunting you do, or what'd you start out with?
No, not really. I've always loved the idea, probably just from listening to podcasts like, Cam Haines and all those guys, where they're like the further you go and all that, which is, I don't know. I enjoyed like challenging myself, but it's a fucking effort. Like, it's hard. We've got 2 young kids now, so it's like, for me to go hunting, if I go for 3 or 4 days, it's hard work for everyone. So you get to do it when you can, but otherwise we do a lot of hunting. But we'll just go for a camp for 2-3 days, hunt from camp, or we go up to places like Lake Eildon or Dartmouth to take the boats up. We take tinnies and go across the lake, camp on the other side, hunt from a boat, essentially, where you either hunt from camp, depending on how easy the stalking is, or you like take your boat, various spots, park the boat, jump in, and go out, which adds another element. Like, we can go fishing all day as well. So that's why awesome. We love those joints. So it's good.
How good's that? Driving past all of that area, heading to Mansfield, it was pretty incredible to see, and just seeing all the boats on the water, and like going from the Facebook posts that I've seen, of people going out in their boats, and that is incredible that you guys can do that. That's
it. Eildon's a weird joint itself. Like, the township doesn't have like what Mansfield does, like what you're saying. There's not much there at all, but it's got this incredible lake that's essentially in the middle of the high country at the start of it. Like, I can launch the boat from my house in an hour and a half and be hunting in like probably 2 hours and 15, and that's like, it's crazy. And it doesn't get touched as much as what you think. Like, it's got meter cod swimming around everywhere. You see guys fishing like crazy up there, and God, the guys that know what they're doing absolutely slam them, and it's not that far away.
So what do they have in there? They've got cod.
Cod, yellow belly, like they stocked, and there's trout and all that sort of stuff. And then most of the high country streams run into it. So you can fish it all year round. It's a 12 months of the year lake for trout because there's a closed season for spawn over here. So
Okay.
as soon as you hit like the upper Goulburn, which runs in it, and all those other rivers that run into it, certain times of the year you can't fish it at all, but the lake you can. So if you know what you're doing, you can catch them in that. And then, yeah, like, it's just a cool joint. You can hunt probably 30 or 40% of it down the big river arm and stuff like that. You can only access it by boat because the tracks that four-wheel drive tracks that go into it are closed. There's, what is it, Queen's birthday, King's birthday now to Cup weekend. So for 3 or 4 months of the year, you can't get there by car. You can only get there by boat. So
that's awesome, man.
It's pretty cool.
You guys are so lucky with all of that. Like, just how well, like, been seen on Facebook. You know, people dogging on what's your guys' fishing authority over there?
Just fisheries.
Yeah, whatever your guys' fisheries are. But yeah, people shitting on them. You know, I seen something about them chucking logs in, and it costed them like 27,000 to put the stumps and that in, and people shitting on it. But man, you know how much other states would love to have an organisation that puts that type of dedication into fishing and hunting. GMA also gets shit on quite a bit, which
there's a lot of things like fisheries over here gets pretty well funded. Like our government, as much as they've got their differences and issues, you could say, we won't get into that. But fisheries, they had like a target 1 million, so they're trying to stock as much native fish everywhere and trout and stuff as well on top of it. Like they're hammering that sort of stuff. They're giving away fishing rods to grade 5s and grade 6s through primary schools to get everyone fishing.
That's killer.
So that sort of stuff is incredible, like what they're doing. Some things have creates its own little issues on the side, but not as much as the positivity they bring into outdoor pursuits and that sort of things. Like the fishing we've got is incredible. They've stopped all the netting and stuff in the bays and all that sort of stuff. So the recreational person that fishes, the fishing's getting better and better. To the average punter that's buying seafood and has to pay $80, $90 a kilo for local stuff, and otherwise they can only get stuff overseas. Probably not the greatest, but to the guys that know what they're doing and are prepared to go there and get it, it's pretty well done. So
that's the way it should be. Like South Australia is just so shit for the recreational fishing side of things. It's just hunting as well, but that's like, you know.
Well, you've got issues where you're not allowed to go shoot the deer yourself, but they'll happily put their hand up and do it for you. So, but that's a whole new ballgame, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. All of this. I just got notification that my whole area is going to be helicopter culled soon, which is, I think it's the first time that area has been culled. So, helicopter cull, they do a fair bit of thermal stuff and spotlight stuff.
Yeah.
That's
it. We've got the issues at the minute. Well, no issues, or so to speak. But yeah, the helicopter culling's kicking off over here, where they're going to close parts of the Alpine National Park and various national parks we can hunt in an open hunting period to helicopter cull them when the park, I don't know. There's all the debates about if they should be, shouldn't be, and all that sort of stuff. If we're not allowed to hunt in places, I don't think people are too concerned. But when they're closing the park to cull it when we can hunt it, people obviously don't like it, which is fair enough because we pay pretty good money to be able to hunt it.
That's it.
But then the park also closes. They shut the gates on Queen's birthday. So it's like, well, why don't you do it then? Like, why are you stopping everyone from camping, or you're stopping people from accessing the park just for recreational activities when you do that anyway for 3 months of the year? So I don't know. But you can talk about it for hours.
Man, it's definitely frustrating. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I know they cull them a lot around my way, which is like fringe suburbs to Melbourne, which absolutely perfect. Like, you dodge them in cars on the way to work regularly and like things like that. So cull them as much as you want around here where we can't hunt them, and typically we're in a green wedge anyway, so the majority of people aren't so positive on hunting, you could say. A lot of people understand what you do. But yeah, there's so many situations where culling is very good. And there's probably a half an hour to 45 ring around the eastern suburbs of Melbourne where there's more deer than the high country. So cull the shit out of them there, but leave them where we pay, was it $100 or $200 a year to have the privilege of going up there.
Yeah, that's it, man.
So, and there's not that many anyway. Like, times you walk around there for a day or two, don't see one. But, I could take you a walk, half an hour around my joint. Not even take the car, and we'll see a dozen. So
crazy, man. I wish we had Samba down here.
It's all well and good to you walking your dog and you get honked and absolutely hit the fucking roof.
I'd love to see, people freak out here just getting barked at by fallow or, hearing a croak from a fallow. So I'd love to see, the same reaction from a Samba honk.
They hit you to the core, especially when you're trying to be as quiet as you can. But I think everyone knows that sound.
Yeah, that's it. So what type of gear are you running? What's your rifle set up? And
rifle set up for deer hunting. I've got a Tikka, was it the Vale Wildland, at 300 Win Mag.
Yep, beautiful.
I have got a Swarovski Z5 scope 5 to 25, even though I don't really hunt past about 150 metres, but it's always nice to have that capability, especially when you get up in the country. Like you find yourself sitting on rocky bluffs and that where a 500 metre shot's not uncommon. So it's always nice to have it there. And yeah, it's good gun. I've only had a couple of years, which I bought it second hand because I'm not crazy into my gear, so to speak. Like if a gun works, it shoots straight. I'm pretty happy. So
that's it.
Yeah, and then just my clothes I'm running. I've got a Mystery Ranch backpack these days. I picked that up. It's got the aluminium frame, and I just did one hunt with it. Beautiful backpack, 80 litres, fits me like a glove, so didn't get sore at all, which was nice compared to the old one I used to have. And then clothes, I'm just wearing like Swazi sort of stuff. Wear shorts. Always trying to wear merino as much as I can just because I'm a bit of a sweater, so it's always nice 2-3 days in the hunt and not absolutely stink, which is good. So yeah, you can just keep wearing the stuff, which is nice. And then I've just got just like the down puffy jacket. It always stays in the bag, and Morocco pack light, sort of wet weather gear, which always stays with me. But I tend to pack pretty light, doing day hunts and stuff like that. So
yeah. What about binos, bino harness?
Binos, I've got a Morocco bino harness, and then I've got just some the Steiner binos, which are a nice bit of kit. They're sort of like probably that one below you start spending some big dollars.
Yep.
So yeah, for what I do, they're exactly what I need. I can't bring myself to spending a few grand just yet. No doubt. The more I look at them, the more it'll probably eat away at me. Probably like everyone, you start ticking off everything else in your kit, and then you get to the one thing you haven't upgraded, and sure enough, you'll upgrade it in a matter of moments. So
that's it. I just upgraded my my camp stove, just going from a Jetboil style to the MSR Whisper Light. So being able to run a bunch of different fuels in it. I think you can run diesel, petrol. Any of those white alcohols, all of that type of stuff, and then I think there's an attachment to run gas as well. So
beautiful.
I found those gas bottles. What was that? Sorry.
The different pots. What sort of pots and pans and stuff are you running with that? Is it like a clip-in system to the jet boils? Or?
Nah, it's not a clip-in. It's just a rest on top. So you have like the little clip-in together pot, little fry pan, little pot, cup, all of that. So just sit that on there. I normally carry that around anyway with my jet boil as just another option. But yeah, lose the jet boil, save a little bit of weight. I'm trying to work out from my New Zealand trip last year what I can cut down.
Yeah, beautiful. And you're off to New Zealand again?
No, not anytime soon. But eventually I'll get over there for chamois and Seeker again. So.
Yeah, beautiful.
There, it's pretty crazy country.
And it looks good. It's definitely on the list. So.
100% have to do it. especially coming from flatland South Australia here, it's a big step.
Yeah, definitely.
So, what would be your top beginner tip for someone getting into hunting? You said that you didn't really get into the deer side of things till what, your mid 20s.
Yep.
So, what would be your top beginner tip?
Yeah, well, it's hard. You just got to get out there and have a go. Like, the more deer you see, the more deer you're learning off. Like, I am an absolute sucker for sort of, because I don't get as much as what I used to, and I just genuinely love the food source. I tend to shoot a lot of things that I see first, just to get one on the deck. Freezer's full. I'm happy. You're never going to come home upset. But now I'm getting, I don't know, older, wiser. You tend to watch a lot more deer than what you shoot. And you learn a lot more from sitting there in the bush quietly with there's 2-3 deer feeding away from you, and just sitting there watching them than sort of putting one in the bank, so to speak. So you'll learn a lot more places where you come across deer, why they're there, what, if you're sitting freezing cold morning, the absolute stereotypical deer, it's a -2 in the morning, sun hits the spot on the hill, there's going to be deer all over it. And then you sit there, you might go out the first time and go, oh, look at the deer in the sun. Second time, you're like, oh, there's more deer in the sun. Then you're like, there's no deer in the shade. Like, you learn those sort of things just going off of that as much as reading books and all that. But yeah, so seeing deer, watching deer, like, we're pretty lucky. Like, where we live, we can go sort of see a bit without hunting, which for some reason when you're not hunting deer, there's always a lot more deer than when you're hunting deer. But yeah, and then just the absolute basics: wind in your face, just going slowly, look more, walk less, all the absolute cliches. If you can find yourself like the guys on Meat Eater do, they'll just sit in a spot for 8 hours a day and like try and glass a 360-degree bolt. Like, those sort of things, if you can restrain yourself from walking around, you're going to see a shitload more deer, and you're going to see a hell of a lot more terrain and work out why the deer are in certain spots. So it's hard. Like, I know a mate of mine who hunts the high country a lot. Like, he always says, if you could be looking at elevation from 1400 to 600 off one ledge that you're glassing on. And pretty much what he says is, he goes, if you find a deer on an elevation, whether it's 900 and 1000, he goes, I just set my tripod to that elevation and you just start glassing. Like, because if you see some there, you pretty much just turn off the other elevations, like there in that elevation, and you've just narrowed down your search area. Like, things like that. Like, those tips you get from other people, and then when you actually put it in practice and you see deer in one spot, then you check the next gully head, they're there. And then you check, and you can actually glass it from one spot. You're like, holy shit, it couldn't be more spot on. And like, to see that, like, you hear about it, you read about it, and then when you actually get out there and do it, I don't know. It's cool when you say it, because there's a amount of times when you spend reading books or doing stuff or researching, and you go out and you're like, oh, you come home disheartened, or something doesn't happen, and when it all falls in place, you're like, yeah, holy shit, they're like robots. They're literally in the same spot at every different gully head around the bowl. It's cool when it all comes together.
So just a quick question on using the GMA app, like finding spots. I've been speaking to lots of South Australians who, struggle finding property over here, and they've been doing the dash over to Victoria, scouting out these little spots, whether it's close to the border or heading closer to the Grampians or the high country. Do you have any tips on using that Mortar Explore app to find places, or is it just luck of the draw?
I don't sort of I cross-reference the Mortar Explorer app is great because it shows you where you can hunt. Google Maps and satellite images are probably what I tend to use cross with like topo maps. So if you find where you're allowed to hunt with the Mortar Explorer, purple shaded areas, I know they've got a little bit more depth in them stuff, but I'm not super familiar with the intricacies of the app. You find where you can hunt, get on Google Maps, and like, you can sort of work out, once you spend enough time in the bush, what's going to be absolutely thick as buggery. Typically, your southeastern, southwestern faces are going to be a lot darker, and you can almost see like the clumpy blackberries and sort of stuff like that. Trying to avoid that, even though some months of the year there's 10 times more deer in there, but you just can't hunt them. So you almost give up on them. Each of their own too. I know a lot of guys that like to hunt the thicker shit because there's more deer there. You get more opportunities, but I don't really enjoy it. So I try to stay away from it. So yeah, you can sort of pick the bush that's a little bit better and not as steep, or you try and find the spots potentially that are steeper that you can get a vantage point and look. So you cross-reference as much as you can. The topo maps are good. The ones that I know, I'm down at Alpine Country and Morwell sells. I know the more you guys sell them too. They're like the blue and white one. They're quite detailed. They have like the shaded areas for. It's almost shade essentially, like where the sun hits and like thicker areas and stuff like that. Yeah. You can sort of see how it works and how detailed they are. They show like walking tracks, four-wheel drive tracks. They give you a bit of information. Like I know I use the rooftop maps a lot, and they actually give you like track details and stuff as well, which is good, especially if you're planning on trying to get to somewhere. Like it'll say like very steep, loose, don't go here when it's wet. Just basic details, because traditionally, when it says it's steep, from my experience, it's pretty fucking steep. The map doesn't lie. So, cross-referencing everything, but still nothing beats getting out there, because everyone's done it. Everyone sits on the Google and goes, I can't wait to get in here. Like, there's going to be shitloads of deer. It's going to be beautiful. And it's just absolute hell. So you just got to get out there and have a crack. Try, and if you're going to come all the way from where you go, have 4 or 5 spots you want to have a look at. Yeah. Like, have them there. Like, go check them off, because chances are, if you put all your eggs in one basket, it's going to be shocking. Like, have a few spots we can do, like make yourself a loop and just have a bit of a go. Like, there's heaps of deer out there, sort of thing. Like, there's so much push over here. Like, you could spend weeks getting around the high country having a look, but yeah, typically, there's a lot of good, a lot of bad.
No, that's some great advice, especially just navigating that more to explore app, because you click on any of the places and it says, they've got deer in them, but there's quite a lot hit and misses, and there's no way, unless you like Google, like go through Facebook groups and type in the name of the forest you're hunting.
I think they sort of say what you can hunt in there, not what's in there. So I don't know. They could be in there. Someone might have seen one day, but typically in Victoria, if you look straight up the state, like from Melbourne, anything to the east, any state forest is going to have sambar in it. Yep. Like, you can also guarantee that. Fallow isolated pockets, same with reds, even more so. So, like fallow, look for farm fringe, typical stuff. Like, they're not everywhere. Whereas sambar, they just pop up everywhere. They're everywhere, really. So
no, awesome. Well, hopefully some of the newer guys that are starting to do that, especially from South Australia, head over there. I've been chatting to quite a few lately. I know some of the guys had success. Another mate of mine, Mitch, who's been on the podcast, they went last year. They got a nice red stag, couple of fallow and a sambar in 2 weeks over there, or a week and a half, something like that. And they went back this year, and I think they got four fallow, one real good public land buck. So they're definitely out there somewhere. So for those that are listening, in Vic.
That sounds right. That's fun.
I don't know. They've done all right. I think where they went for the deer that the last year, when they did like 4 or 5 spots, and they spent a couple of days in each and just moved on. So got a deer in almost each spot type of thing. So
heck is that?
Yeah, that's awesome. You got the time, and you can spend that time in doing it. When I went and picked up my stove the other day, ran into a guy buying the exact same one and started chatting to him. And it turns out he's a listener of the podcast, and he was just about to head over to Vic. And I think they went to about 5 different places and found a footprint in one of the places after chatting to someone in Bendigo.
Yeah.
So, it's... You put in the hard yards, it comes eventually.
Well, I do definitely think the deer numbers are down a little bit, I suppose, than other years. Like, I know Rob Fickling had an incredible, his quote from a few years ago. I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago. He said, "The good old days of deer hunting's now. Like,
Yeah.
this is it." And then, like, when you hear him say that, an old wise head like him that's spent more time in the bush than anyone, you're like, "Oh, fuck, is it?" Like, and then now you look at like the culls, and there's like ground culls and all this sort of stuff, and all the stuff in the national parks going on at the minute where they potentially could stop hunting, and
Yeah.
a lot of the spots, like, you're like, were we 10 years too late? Were we, like, I don't know. You sort of just got to get out and have a crack, but there's still plenty of deer out there. Like, the hound guys smash them, and they're getting good. Like, they're not getting good. They've always been good, but the more guys doing it, like, some of them are shooting 20 deer a weekend. Like, you're not stalking that. So good on them. Like, they know their craft, and
it's good that they do it, because it kind of, yes, that they're taking a lot of deer off the landscape, but that's good to show the like parks and all of that. They might do less culling because they know that the hound crews are taking enough deer off of the landscape. So it has its positives and negatives.
That's it.
I haven't been out with a hound crew. I've spoken to a few guys that do it, and it sounds like it's good fun. I'm keen to give it a go one year.
Yeah, I'd love to do it. Like, they're highly skilled in what they do, and like, how well they know the land. Like, I've had a few mates that have done the hound hunting, not for them anymore. But they're like the guys that set you up. They're like, walk down this ridge, you'll see a tree with this marking on it. Like, wait there, go here. Like, they know the bush like the back of their hand, and like, they know their craft, and good on them. Like,
they definitely cop a lot of flack, but they definitely do know the landscape and the animals' behaviour and where they'll move, where they'll run, how the dogs work. Like, it's a lot of information to take on board.
Oh, definitely. It's a whole new ball game, isn't it? So
that's it.
Yeah.
What would be your top 5 beginner tips for someone beginner items for someone getting into?
Look, I've heard so many different people taught me, I suppose, back in the day, where you get some guys that at the top of the line gear, they even step foot in the bush, and then some guys just say to go hunting, you need a gun and bullets. So you figure it out. Like, the old buy once, cry once. I bought heaps of stuff and then rebought it just because I thought I'd want something like this. And a lot of stuff, I did my research and bought the best of something, and I was like, oh, this is fucking pointless. Like, I don't need this. Like, and then you sort of find your way, and then hunting with different people, you sort of get to see in field gear, which is nice.
Yeah.
They just go into a shop and you're like, oh, I don't mind that. Like, it's always nice. But top 5 is like a good pack. I started hunting in like Merrill boots, and you spend a few $100 on boots that I did the Inca Trail on in South America, and incredible shoes. Then you do the first trip into the high country, and you're like, holy crap, these are like dangerous sort of thing. Since buying lowers, spend good money on boots and a pack, and then things you'll keep forever. Like, you buy a good hunting knife, you could hand that down to your kids one day. Like, it's like sentimental.
That's it.
Things like that. And then just like safety things. Like, if you're going to hunt in summer, you have to have a PLB. If you're going anywhere with no phone reception, you need it. Like, I don't think a radio's, I don't know. There's some things where I don't think I just turn my radio off. Normally we're in a group anyway. If you hear a gunshot, you flick it on. So it's one of those. Like, a GPS is good. Phones are getting a lot better these days for them. Like, if you study the maps and basic survival skills on which way you walk in, sun's going, ridges and roads and rivers, you can usually get yourself to safety if you got a PLB if all else fails. Good boots, pack, something you'll keep forever, and like just reliability in yourself. Like, go for a run, do a bit of exercise. You don't want yourself giving up when you need it most, sort of thing. So, like, you see some guys that step in the bush and you do worry. So
that's me.
Yeah.
No, it's the safety side of things seems to be overlooked thing quite a bit, but it seems more and more people are carrying first aid kits and PLBs and.
Yeah, well, some of the most not the most dangerous. Like, I haven't had too many near misses with safety, except for like me and a mate were butchering a deer one day, and like I think he bought some brand new Zane Blend boots, and I accidentally popped one of them about 10 mil through his through the leather and didn't get him. But like, they're the sort of ones you're like, fucking hell, like, imagine how easy that is. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it just can happen when you least expect it. And those sort of near misses where you go, fucking hell, like, imagine if I took his Achilles out and we're 5 k's from the boat and, you know, like nowhere near. Like, it's just, yeah, it's a bit of a wake up call and you sort of start to have a think, I suppose.
Well, that's the thing, you know, it's not just the toys that we have out there, you know, guns, bows, the knives, all of that stuff. All of that's dangerous in itself when you're on flat ground, let alone, you know, you add in the terrain, you add in, you know, slippery rocks and cliff edges and fallen trees and
being tired and
fatigue, and then snakes as well. You know, and anything can happen in the bush when you're out there. So it definitely pays to have some type of PLB. I know I've mentioned it a couple times, but I know the phones can be used as they can call emergency services while not having signal now, I believe.
Yeah,
or
the new
some type of beacon type thing like that. So that's good. That's still good. I'd recommend having a PLB though, or a Garmin InReach, or one of those GPSs that have the PLB built into them.
Yeah,
that's definitely a good one. Now a bit of a silly question: zombie apocalypse weapon. What would you go?
Well, I've got a I'm real well prepared. No, I've got a I've got a 308. I've got a Lithgow 308, which sits with a red dot on it, which I always joke about with my mates that always ready. So kicking some doors with that thing. But yeah, you'd have to. I don't know. You'd almost want two, wouldn't you? You'd want a 12 gauge or something like that, nice little pumpy, and then close combat, and then you'd have another one just slung off you. I don't know. You want something you can get quick, some sort of lever action, I'd say. Like I've got a nice little, it probably doesn't have the heavy hitting you'd want, but I've got a little Winchester 94 22 Magnum, which I think it's a 10 shot. You can just churn them out of the day. If one of them in a 30-30, you'd be all right.
Yeah, that it would be.
What about you?
Oh man, my answer changes all the time, but I'm a big Walking Dead fan, and I like the old crossbow for the for the option.
Yeah.
So, or a machete, something like that.
Yeah, fixed bayonets over the top.
Bayonet on the crossbow. What have you forgotten on a hunting trip?
Oh, lots of things. My hiking shoes.
I've been there.
Lino rig. I've done. Yeah, you get to the car and I forgot my magazine one day, so I was just tipping them through the spout at the top, and I was on my own, so it wasn't like, you just get up there and you're like, fuck. And I usually sometimes keep my magazine just in my ammo. Like, unclick it at the end of a hunting trip, and I just lock it in the ammo thing at the top of my safe, and then you take a couple of bullets with you, and you get to the hunting spot and go to put your magazine. You're like, yeah, righto, this is us now. Well, I've got one shot. Let's sort this out. So, but yeah, I think we've forgotten everything really.
The boots is a rough one. I did that on a trip to Flinders Ranges, and I ended up having to buy a pair of steel caps halfway there, and hunted in steel caps. But
yeah, that's get through in the redbacks once or twice. You don't really want to be contouring all day in them. Like, especially if it's wet, they just turn into like cakes of soap and they stretch, and it's a nightmare.
That's it.
You only do that once. Sort of got a bit of a checklist these days though, and now that I got the new pack, everything just stays in it. So I've got like my bino rig just almost clips to it, so that just almost stays on top of it. And then if I get that with my boots and the clothes, I'm pretty much done. Everything else stays in it. So,
speaking of packs, are you a water bladder guy or do you carry a drink bottle?
Typically, I'll have a bit of both because I'm a pretty thirsty guy. So I used to just have like a 1.5 litre bladder, but I've recently got a 3 litre Camelback, which is awesome. It should do me for a day. And it's got the little clip-in mechanism, like the life straw thing. So if you're proper away, you can just fill up out of the river and drink, and you're good to go. But I do love my electrolytes, so I quite often you just go to Coles and get the cheapest plastic bottle you can that scrunches up. And I'll drop like 3 or 4 tablets of electrolytes in that, just so if I cramp or anything like that, I'll just be punching them. And then once you're done with it, you can scrunch it up and you're done. It's not like you're carrying around a big, like, aluminium stainless water bottle sort of thing. So I do like that. And you just tend to find, like, I don't know, when you're hiking out of the bush after a long day and you're stepping over logs and you feel your hammies starting to tighten every time you go over. Like, I find the lights, they do help with that sort of stuff. Like,
is incredibly. There any electrolytes you're running in particular? Any brands or?
No, not really. The ones from Aldi are about half the price for everything else. They seem to work fine. Otherwise, you get the hydrolyte ones. I've got at the minute, but I tend to have one of them each morning and replace a few of the salts from the night before, and away you go.
Yeah, beautiful. That's a good idea. It's not something I've ever really taken with me or before taken. Normally it's like some Gatorade powder or
that's the same stuff. So
bunch of those other ones. I'm trying to think of the.
I understand you clear of caffeine in it though. Yeah. Like any of those tablets that are like energy boost or things like that. I don't know. I tend to get the jitters a little bit from them. It's a bit like, because they're like guarana and caffeine, and there's just heaps of stuff in them that it can't be that healthy for you. Like,
sounds like what I need.
Yeah, I'll point you in the right direction then.
That's good. What about sketchy, dangerous thing? What?
In the bush?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. No, not heaps, except for sort of like slipping over and falling down things. You see the odd snake and stuff trying to cross a river, but no, I haven't done too much. Like, the most dangerous things you can probably do is just isolating yourself from everyone and going away, I suppose. Like, I did 24 hours on my own up at Dartmouth, where you got to launch a boat and go across the lake for 10, 15 kilometres and camping and setting up. Like, I don't know, if the boat conks out, you're on your own for probably... Have a long. The car park's usually pretty empty on a Wednesday, so you might not see them until Thursday or Friday. Like, that sort of stuff's probably, well, you're not in like straight away danger. Like, you look back on it, like, you tell your parents, like, oh, I'm just going to go up here with no phone reception for 4 days alone. They're like, you're mad. So it's perceived danger to different people, and different experience levels completely different on everyone. Like, I could tell. Some of my mates might go to the city and walk through a dark alleyway, and I'm like, if anything.
Yeah, the city tends to be more dangerous than the bush these days, for sure.
Yeah.
What about funny things? Yeah, you had any real funny experiences out bush?
Oh, like coming across things and stuff.
Funny fuck ups, funny. Coming across something.
No, except for missing deer from about 25, 30 metres quite often. That's probably about it, really.
We've all done that.
I don't know. We've had some great times. Not so much funny, but like memorable things. Like, just, you think you lose someone, and then they just turn up exactly where you are. And, I don't know. It's probably more so like when you're around campfire and you're like, oh, geez. And like, you're almost like not imagining things, but you're like talking scenarios in your head with other people. Like, imagine if this happened to them, or and it turns out they were like, 100 meters away from me the whole time. Like, you just, I don't know, not so much funny. Like, you probably more make shit up in your head when you're with your mates, and you just laugh with each other, and not too much. Nothing that we haven't brought on ourselves.
That's good. Lucky you haven't had many sketchy situations and all of that out there. Some guys have had shots rung out over them and all sorts of experiences out there.
No, not yet. You hear the ones of guys walking into their camps and stuff when they're backpacking when people shouldn't be there and that. And luckily enough, we haven't had any of that. Like,
it's good to hear.
I don't know what I'd do if someone walked into my camp. I'd just up and leave. I'd probably up and leave, I think.
The old butt man coming in, say g'day.
Yeah. You hear enough stories from people that have and spend enough time up there that it's common enough to think about it. So, it's always in the back of your mind. Like, you don't know what you do.
Yeah, I never heard about the Button Man until though that elderly couple went missing up in the high country there, and then there was those articles saying that he might have done it and all of this type of stuff. And
but I think he lives. I think I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, and people are going to probably listen in and say I am wrong. I think he frequents Mansfield a fair bit, and a lot of the people up there sort of know him. I think he is a bit strange, but he's not uncommon.
That's it.
I don't know. But man, if you're listening, I'm one of your friends. I'm good.
Yeah, I've heard stories. I don't know enough about him. There was a TikTok account that did told stories of what people sent into him, and he'd just read it out. People waking up the next morning with photos of them sleeping on their cameras, and random shit popping up in camp, and
that'd be me done. I think if I checked those photos of me sleeping, it'd be no more bushwalking.
So now your mates know how to get you out of the bush if you find a good stag in an area.
That'd be terrifying.
What about top 5 dream animals? Like, money not being an issue anywhere in the world, what would you chase and where would you go?
I'm going to Alaska, straight up. And then, most of them are there, I think, aren't they? Moose, 100%. Caribou, elk. And then, I'd love to fish, the salmon spawn and, doing, the trout run over there and all that sort of stuff.
That'd be killer.
That'd be mine. My sort of ones, I always look at trips we could potentially do in the next year or two, and it's New Zealand, I'm going somewhere we can fish and hunt, straight away. And then, if money was no issue, New Zealand's kind of realistic, but Alaska's pretty far-fetched at the minute, I suppose. So, yeah, that'd be the dream. North America, and there's just that whole other ball game. You're dealing with shit that can kill you, and, yeah, I don't know. That's sort of terrifying itself, isn't it? Everyone says, "Oh, you got tiger snakes, you got snakes, you got this and that." It's fuck, they're not coming into your tent at night.
Oh
you
man,
can deal with it.
That's one argument I have with Americans and Canadians and all that all the time. Is they're just as if you hunt down there, as if you go out bush. Everything's trying to kill you. I'm like, the worst we have is a snake. You guys have wolves, coyotes, rattlesnakes, bears, bobcats, mountain lions, lynxes,
Yeah, it's a whole other ball game. One show my kids absolutely love watching on YouTube is Outdoor Boys. I don't know if your kids are into that.
I haven't seen that.
It's an American guy and his 2 kids and wife, and he pretty much just goes camping in Alaska, and they just do all this adventure stuff, so camping, fishing, hunting. And he takes his 2-year-old on backpacks to beaches, and the first thing they do is set up electric fences and stuff with a kid that's just learning to talk and walk and like a baby. I was like, holy shit! Rolling the swag out with my kids when we go bushes, there's nothing. It's just crazy. So far fetched. Then it's freezing over there, and everything's bears and wolves and putting your food in different spots and
hanging it in trees and
you look at what happened to the meat eater guys, what they killed an elk and then just overnight this bear unwittingly claimed their kills.
Yeah.
And they almost died for it. And it happens it's not uncommon.
That meat tree story is just incredible. That
I think it was Clay Newcomb. He just shared a video a couple of days ago of that brown bear that walked into 2 meters on him, and he just had a bow and arrow.
Yeah, that was a black bear. It was actually a color phase brown black bear, and that's one of my absolute favorite videos. That's how I found out about Clay Newcomb. So that he had that before he started his original podcast. The Bear Hunting Magazine podcast, and that got me hooked. I've watched that 500 times.
Another real good bear video of Close Encounters, that Sydney Wells. I think she was 14 or 15 when her dad's filming behind her, and the bear walked into similar distance, and she slips an arrow into it. Like, imagine watching your daughter and like she's the only thing between you and a grizzly or a black bear. That's incredible.
Oh, Tim Wells is just is crazy, bloody good hunter, but just his incredible to watch.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I started getting into bow hunting through like going out bow fishing. So I grew up hunting with rifles with my grandpa, and then I started getting into, like, always had a kid bow and all of that type of thing, and then got into bow fishing, and then watching all bow fishing on YouTube, and it was all Sydney Wells and Tim Wells shooting these carp that jump out of the water when they're spooked. So they're sitting on the back of a tinny, and these fish are jumping, 3-4 foot in the air as they're going full pelt down a river, and they're shooting them out of the air as they're flying through the air, and it's fucking incredible.
Yeah, it's cool. It's crazy. Like, those carp over there. Because what do they call them? They don't call them carp. They call them something else in different spots. Like,
there's all different species. They've got like 5 different species of carp that are introduced.
So they've proper taken off over there. Like, we don't. Like, they've obviously fucked the joint over here, but not to the extent of that. And it's only really recently it's taken over in some spots over there too. Like, we're probably somewhat used to it.
Yeah. Well, we've only got the European carp. They've got European carp, Asian carp. They got big-headed carp. They got grass carp. Yeah, fucking heaps of different species. I think
is it the big heads that love jumping?
Nah, it's the silver carp, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool to watch. It's dream to go over there and do that and shoot them out the air. Type in aerial bow fishing on YouTube to anyone that's listening and is curious on what it looks like. But yeah, Tim Wells, have you watched many of his videos?
No, not much. I found myself, funnily enough, watching a little bit of Sydney through YouTube. Probably like a few guys. But no, that is some cool stuff. Like, I haven't seen much of him.
He's got a wicked. He's got
a
sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, like him, Meat Eater, those guys. Like, some of their more informative channels that they do. Like Clay and the Bear Grease sort of stuff. Like, well, they're just doing cool stuff. They're so knowledgeable.
Yeah, Tim Wells has got a video where he blowpipe hunts a bear.
Yeah,
like, kills a black bear with a blowpipe, and it's fucking incredible. But there's another one. He went over to Africa and he was spear hunting. He's climbed up into the tree where he was going to sit over this pile of bait and spear hunt. And he dropped his phone or his camera or something. So he's wedged the spear up into the tree and jumped down. And as he's jumped down, he's shaken the tree, and the spear's come through and gone straight through the top of his thigh. So he was there by himself, just with his GoPro, and he's like bleeding out in Africa. He's like had to tie it off and sitting under a tree. I think he was there for a few hours, and he had no way of contacting because all of his radio was up in the tree, so he couldn't climb up there. Yeah,
that's a perfect example of when it's when you don't realise or when you don't think it's going to happen.
That's it.
Yeah, that's the one thing Zeb Jones did a talk down at the ADA near like where we're a part of in Western Port, and he goes, "It's all well and good to have a PLB, but you need a PLB here, because like, I think he said he had 2 mates that have like ripped a knee out of its socket or snapped a leg with a heavy pack on. Like if you can't reach it from where you fall, like you're fucked. Like you're still dying. So yeah." And like when you hear him all that now, I know I always keep mine on a bino rig, but yeah, you hear some people like, "Oh, I've just got in the backpack." Like it's almost no good to you.
Yeah, I've always ran mine in my backpack, and it's got like a first aid section. I run the Tatonka Bison 75 plus 10. Always kept it up there. When I've gone to New Zealand, I had it hanging on the bino harness. But the Tatonka Bisons, you can get the Tasmanian Tiger Molly pouches, and they fit in on the side on the hip belt, so you can put a couple of them on each side of the hip belt, and they're freaking awesome. But I've just moved mine to that hip belt side.
Yeah. I hadn't put any thought into it until I think he said that, and then you sort of, when you're in the bush and you know, when you just like, you listen to things, then when you're in the bush, you sort of, things run through your head.
Yeah.
And like, you like almost fall over or something. And you're like, oh, fuck. And then everything you've learned is like, oh yeah, that's why this happens, and this one, and that'd be good to have here. And yeah, you just analyse things, I suppose, a bit more when you're on your own. And the stakes are high, so.
There's definitely a lot of learning curves. And you know, you do something and then you change it around, and
yeah, that's it. So yeah, you only figure out when you do or you don't need something is usually at the wrong end of it, isn't it?
100%. Like, I've carried my first aid kit with me for the last 10, 12 years, and I think I've needed it twice, and it's just for a little cut or a scrape, you know, when butchering. But touch wood, that's all I'll ever need it. That it'll be sitting there and I don't need it.
Yeah, you're not exactly going to throw it out, are you?
No,
wait.
That's it.
No.
Moving on a bit, what would be your favourite thing to cook with hunted meat or caught fish? What's your go-to favourite meal?
Fish. I'm sort of like nostalgic, where I like chase gummy sharks and stuff for numerous years, trying to get one, never got one. Now they're not a dime a dozen, but you know, that's just part of our when we go fishing. But like, to get a fresh gummy shark, bring it back to the family, cook that night in like beer batter, crunchy, with the family sharing it. Absolutely love it. Now these days it's probably more so trout, just from fresh rivers we camp on and stay on. Like, you catch trout and you're cooking them within a couple of hours, not even like, sometimes it's 20 minutes, half an hour. If you walk back to camp with a fish and, you know, the 5-year-old comes running up to you, like, that thing's getting cooked in, you know, 5-10 minutes. So like, that sort of thing, like, they're great. And like, it's more like feel good factor and stuff. Like, fresh fish is always incredible. That's the one thing that sort of takes you a bit to get your head around when you start hunting. Like, if you go and catch a bag of whiting, you've got people queuing up to like have fresh fish that night, and it's like a meal for the everything. But you go shoot a deer, you go whip it up, chances are it could be like an old boot that night. You sort of don't know what you're doing on the first time you do it. Like, that's what the first things you can eat, like the heart's always going to be tender and beautiful. The eye fillets are always going to be pretty good. They obviously get better with time. But yeah, anything like backstraps, if you age them, you can age them. I don't know, what do we normally try and hang, depending on what it is, we'll hang the backstraps probably a day or so, and then we'll get them in the cryobacker. Like, we try to wet age things, and then changing the blood. One tip that Ross O'Meara gave us was, typically the meat's not going to go off for 5-6 weeks, depending on how cold it is. But it's the blood, or like what seeps out of it, that'll go off and go sour. So if you age your meat for a week or 2 weeks, like, change the water essentially in it, and then dry it off, cryoback it, and put it back in, you'll get heaps longer out of it, and the meat will only get better and better. So certain things like that. But then doing schnitzels with the kids, like, just the basic things, like, we love doing. So yeah, anything really, it's all good as long as you're all part of it.
That's it. Well, while we're on the food side of things, let's chat about Wildfire. How'd that come about, and what is it? And
Wildfire, it's a seasoning company. We were lucky enough, we saw these products years ago. They're beautiful blends of like native extracts. There's no sugar, it's all organic, and we loved them when they were available a few years ago. A guy by the name of Kent Mulligan started the company, who's a very good chef, and so he did it in COVID, setting it all up. There's something to do while he was locked down. And yeah, so he set all that sort of stuff up, and then I think it was about 18 months ago, the company got put up for sale, and me and a mate, Tom, we both loved the products, really enjoyed them, just saw a way of like keeping the products going and doing like that sort of thing, and, you know, getting into the outdoor scene ourselves. Like, we both love hunting, fishing, cooking and that sort of stuff. So it was a good opportunity for us, because we loved it, wanted to do a bit more and all that sort of stuff. So we thought we'd take a bit of a punt and have a bit of a go. So yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Like, looking at the ingredients list on them. So you've got the three different flavor season.
red meat and big game, which has like kakadu plum and wattle seed. They're all like with Murray River salts and like various mountain peppers and all that sort of stuff. The pork and poultry has like wild peach in it and like bush honey, so it gives a little bit of sweetness. And then the seafood has got like river mint and lemon myrtle and stuff like that. So using like nice native ingredients and really showcasing the product you've sort of like the game you've got, essentially, just trying to bring the best out of it.
Yeah, beautiful. And, they're labelled, red meat, big game, pork, poultry, small game, and seafood and river fish. Do you mix and match and try them on
Yeah,
different?
definitely. Like, my other wife loves putting the red meat and big game just through like bolognese and stuff like that, because it's a mix of like native peppers essentially and salts.
Yeah, beautiful.
Which they all complement each other and gives it a great flavour. So you mix that into bologneses and stuff like that. Like we're doing schnitties with the family. Like we'll season the schnitties, then flour and go. Like the pork and poultry on eggs and scrambled eggs, like it gives a good little punch. And yeah, you mix and match, try them on anything. Like the seafood's really good at like salads and stuff like that. Mix it with olive oil, sprinkle it on salads, and yeah, just have a go. Try it on anything.
Yeah, beautiful. And are you just keeping with what you got, or you're going to experiment in the future and try different things, or?
Yeah, there's going to be a couple more products launched in the next few months. We can't sort of say too much.
Yeah, beautiful.
We've got a bit of harvest coming up, hopefully. So, we're just working on that. We're doing a little bit more design and stuff at the minute with a few things. We're just going to jig a couple of things in the back end and hopefully do not so much a relaunch, but there's be a few more things coming out in a few months and doing all that and just trying to get the products out there. So
how good. Yeah, I can't wait to see that. I've been seeing it around on social media for the last 12 months ish, and then seeing how busy you guys were at Mansfield Hunting Expo. Got to chatting afterwards, and I'm like, yep, have to try and get you on the podcast.
Yeah, I'd say it was a Mansfield. That was a good gig, wasn't it?
Oh, it was incredible.
You did well.
We were chatting about it before, how well Mel did with it, and just the amount of people there was just insane.
Yeah, she certainly did a very good job. I think hopefully onwards and upwards, and already talking a bit of stuff going on next year. So don't know what. No doubt she'll have something planned. There'll be something a bit extra.
Yeah, I commented on there. I'm like, we should try and do a live podcast on the on the stage, meat eater style.
You can just commentate the gig off to the side. It'll be all right.
Oh no, I couldn't commentate. That's for sure. I'm not well spoken enough to do that. I only just get through doing a podcast. So what other type of products do you have on the Wildfire?
We don't. We've got a few of Rob Herbert from R&N Blades. He makes some beautiful Australian made products just in Lakes Entrance there. So we've just got a couple of knives from him.
Yep.
And then we've just got the Dove beanies, t-shirts. And yeah, we're going to work on a few extra things coming. So yeah, not heaps. It's more just a simple sort of setup for us, and we just enjoy doing what we're doing. Like we're getting out doing a bit more cooking for different places now. We did a fair old cook up at Gordo's, the northeast. Experienced the meet and greet. We're doing a few for like certain hunting clubs and stuff like that. So if anyone wants us to come cater an event or anything like that, then yeah, we're more than happy to. So that's sort of what we're doing. We're getting out meeting people face to face and yeah, putting on a bit of a spread, and hopefully everyone likes it. And yeah, just starting to do that. But we get a little bit more time on our hands this year, and yeah.
No, it's good, and it's good to see you using natural Australian ingredients. So it's something a bit different. It's
yeah, that's it. There's definitely a point of difference to a lot of things on the market, because a lot of things, well, you just like get generic products through a lot of rubs and a lot of seasonings, a lot of sugar and things like that. A lot of
sugar,
like, one thing that I couldn't believe is like some of the ones, if you go into like the barbecues galore and you can pick up any sort of shaker, and like the American ones typically, they're looking for glazes, they're looking for things, and like some of them are 40% sugar and 25% salt.
Yeah.
So, and then they're $20 a shaker. It's like, well, incredible. So, like, yeah, we do have a different point of difference, and they do probably a bit punchier than some others. Like I know we have a bit of a laugh at some mates that'll empty a whole pack and 2 chicken thighs and blow their head off, but it's more of a season to taste, and less is more just because the ingredients in there are probably a lot higher quality than people have probably experienced on just your run-of-the-mill one. So, yeah.
No, awesome. I can't wait to get myself, I was just looking at the website then, I reckon I'll get myself a trio of it and give it a go. And like I said,
I'll get you a little pack sent over.
Doing the carnivore diet over the next month and a bit, so, it's I'm not real strict on the seasoning side of stuff. I like a bit of flavour on my food, so it's good to see that there's none of the sugars and stuff. Because like the first couple times I've done carnivore, like going through my spice cupboard, I'm like, oh shit, that's got sugar in it. Shit, that's got flour in it. Shit, that's got sugar in it. It's just crazy to see how much.
Yeah, so it is nice to have a little bit of a point of difference. So no, we'll get you some sent over and let us know what you think.
Sounds like a good plan for. We'll go back over it again, but for people wanting to look at the website, it's wildfirestore.com.au. So jump on there and check it out. And yeah, Wildfire on Instagram as well, isn't it?
Yep.
So yeah, jump on there, check that out. How do you see the public views on hunting and hunters?
It depends who you ask, I suppose. That's
general public, people you run into on an every.
Yeah, it's tricky. Like some people, a lot of the people that disagree with us have the same idea as us. That's probably the trickiest thing. Like hunting, you can go down the hunting as conservation route as long as you want. And like the people that want to stop hunting and kill the deer and not let you hunt have exactly the same idea as like, let's preach sustainability. Let's do all these things that improve the planet and all that sort of stuff. So the people that we hate, the people that they hate, we're all pretty similar, which is kind of the most frustrating thing. Like, but I don't know how that changes. Like, unless you start, planting plants around Brunswick and stuff and doing all these sort of things to increase like a social license, so to speak. But that's a whole other conversation for another day. Like, I don't think you're almost at a stalemate over here where ideologies are getting separate. People can't have a conversation together just because of things like social media and all these other things where there's all these other issues. But I don't know. I can't see it getting any better. Like, it is what it is. Like, you can only change the people around you and try and present a positive image through things like social media and yourself, and try and educate the ones around you that you're not that bad, or trying to give them some food that you've cooked that's, you've self-sourced, or you've done them a favour by helping them out and stuff like that. Like, there's no silver bullet, I suppose.
Yeah, that's it. Did you find that like hunting in Victoria increased over COVID with the whole meat side of things?
Not so much COVID, I suppose. Like the Joe Rogan effect of like everyone, you get heaps of people bow hunting because they want to get this nutritious food, and they're going to start running marathons and all that sort of shit. Which, good on them. Like, I'm a strength in numbers sort of guy. So the more people that sign up, start hunting by game licenses and all that, it can't be a bad thing for hunting. As much as there's more people in the bush, it's another issue. But then, if a third of us hunt it, they're going to look at the stats in Parliament and go, "Oh, they are." But if there's 200,000 hunters, like, it's undeniable. You got to keep it going. So, COVID definitely went up. The meat in the freezers at the supermarkets, the lack thereof, didn't, like, people come to you for meat almost. Like, they were more inquisitive about hunting and wanted to know more. But I think just being an outdoor recreation sport, they're like, everyone that talks these days more so about like mindfulness and like mental health and stuff. Being in the outdoors and being connected to eat like your food and your roots and all that sort of stuff is huge. It's absolutely no denying it. Like, I think is it the ADA? I should know the ADA. They promote hunters being in like the top finite of mental well-being people in Australia, like in the percentage. Like I know that to have a gun license in Australia, you probably weed out a lot of people that wouldn't fit that bill. So you've already got the cream of the crop in terms of mental well-being and happiness, I suppose. But then you spend 4 days in the hills. You go hunting your own food. You bring something home that you've worked so hard for. Like there's a whole new positivity in yourself that you spread that and all that sort of stuff. Like it can't be bad for you.
Oh, that's it. Even if you don't bring something like it, you still have that mental clarity, and like you still feel good coming out of the hills. Like there's not a lot of things where you can fail and then feel happy afterwards.
Yeah, that's it. And like you got the mateship, camaraderie, and all that sort of stuff that goes with it, and just being connected with people, and like disconnected from society in some ways.
Oh,
that's good.
That's it. The food, they're exerting yourself, and just everything. Moving on with the mental clarity side of things, what is hunting to you?
Yeah, hunting's good. I don't know. I treat it somewhat as an escape, like not an escape, so to speak. It's not like I'm running away from anything, but it's like you can just disconnect. Like the happiness when you drive on the highway and you know you're going hunting, like you're in a good mood. Like you're already happy. And then when you're sitting there, whether you're having a beer around a fire or, when you're putting the pack on, not knowing what the next day or two leads, like it's it's just great. And then to be able to bring food home for the family, I'll drag the whole fellow home before I slapped him on the island bench and home, and you got 2 toddlers jumping all over it, pulling the greatest thing in the world. And like seeing that, God, it's great. Like so good. So I love that.
It's awesome, like even tonight with that spiky I shot this morning, I minced half of him up because, freezer space is getting a bit tight at the moment, so I minced most of him up and, just shoved the bags of mince in the little tight spaces in the freezer, but had the youngest there chucking the mince in the mincer, and he thought it was incredible.
You got to push the mince in the freezer before it goes hard. Once it goes hard,
that's it.
Man. Pack it well.
So
have you been out for a hunt with your kids yet?
Yeah, so my youngest, he was a week old, and I was butchering deer on the bench with him strapped to my chest, so he's had no real choice. My oldest is my stepson, so he started coming out when he was about 4 or 5. Yep. So he's seen me. Yeah. He's come out with me taking a couple deer, and I take him. He prefers the spotlighting side of things because it's a bit of an excuse for him to stay up super late, eat junk food in the back of the car. I chuck all these blankets and pillows and everything in there so he can get super comfortable and just eat absolute shit food. So he loves that side of things.
Lovely. That's what you want.
But the youngest, he's been coming out since about 6 months of age. As soon as he could hold his head up in the baby carrier backpack, he's been coming out checking trail cameras with me and everything. I haven't shot a deer with him yet. He's just turned 4. He will not shut up when we're out bush, so he just sounds like a herd of buffalo going through a cornflake factory.
Yeah. That's it. Maybe more of the long range stuff with him then.
Yeah, I've taken a few hares and stuff like that with him. So but the deer just spooks them all away. I reckon he came out with me 4 or 5 times this early this rut, and I just had to say to the wife, I'm like, if I want to shoot a deer, I can't take him out for the rest of the rut.
Yeah. I remember the first few times with my 5-year-old, you're like, you got to be really quiet. What'd you say, Dad? Again, no worries. We'll work on that.
Yeah, I've found with him, like, the last couple of years I've been taking him out since he could, like, when he was starting to walk, and I'd take him out the backpack, let him walk a bit, and he's picking up sticks and throwing sticks and rocks, and you just got to let him have fun, let him get used to it, and then teach him to be quiet. Can come later, I reckon. Just get him out there and enjoying it first.
Yeah, no, they love it. You just got to get him out there. The more, the better.
And he absolutely smashes. Like, we've had venison pretty much every night for the last 2 weeks, so he's absolutely smashing it. love schnitzels the other night, and we had the tenderloins tonight for dinner from the one I shot this morning. So
Lovely.
Yeah, beautiful. So for people that have enjoyed the podcast, where can they find you on social media? Website, go over the website and Wildfire's.
Yeah, Wildfire store, Wildfire Instagram, or on mitch.rick. You'll see that through Wildfire, through Instagram, all that sort of stuff. Come say good day, send us a message, and happy to answer any questions or give any more insight that you might want. So, come say good day.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you for coming on. I know you were a bit nervous to start off with, but I think you did excellent. So there's nothing to be nervous of there.
Oh, beautiful! Yeah, first one I've ever done. So that's the last 2 hours. So.
I'm sure you'll get a few more requests after this. The Australian hunting podcast community is pretty tight. So once someone goes on one of the podcasts, they seem to do the run around the mill.
Oh, beautiful. Well, phone's on, so.
Well, no, I appreciate it, Mitch, and thank you for coming on. And like I said, can't wait to try the Wildfire seasonings and put them through. And yes, I'll be heading over that way in September with another mate, but I'll be doing a few trips over there as well.
Tell me when you're coming over and we'll sort something out.
Sounds like a plan, man. Thank you very much for coming on, mate.
Thank you very much for having me.
Catch you. Bye. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Hunting Connection Podcast. We hope you've enjoyed our discussions and gained valuable insights into the world of hunting, fishing, and the outdoors. To stay connected with us and never miss out on an update, please be sure to follow us on social media, all at Hunting Connection Podcast. We appreciate your support and would love for you to share the podcast with your friends and family. Don't forget to tag us in your hunting photos on social media and let us know about your experiences. Your feedback is invaluable to us, so please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Together, we continue growing and delivering more captivating episodes for all hunting enthusiasts. Stay connected, stay informed, and keep pursuing your passion for the hunt. Until next time, happy hunting.